Guys, we're gonna make the best stinking bread ever today. I've been making this like artisan loaf for about a month now. My cousin sent me the recipe and I've been making it about every 2 or 3 days or so. It's like the perfect size for 2 adults who eat a fair amount of bread. We do it, you know, we make French toast with it, we make sandwiches with it, we get fancy and dip it in like olive oil and balsamic. What else do we do with it? Just like buttered with soups and stew and chili. Oh my goodness, we've been eating it nonstop. It's so good. It's so super simple, like beyond simple. I can't stress that enough. It's 3 ingredients, well 4 if you count water, and it's no knead. And all you do is you pop it in the bowl, mix it up real quick, let it sit covered overnight or all day. If you want to bake it in the evening, then you pop it in the oven for 40 minutes. And that's literally it. Okay, so to make the dough, you only really need 3 ingredients, 4 if you consider water an ingredient, which I guess it is, so 4 ingredients. First thing you're gonna do, you're gonna take your flour, your yeast, and then you're gonna need salt. So you're gonna combine the flour, yeast, and salt, mix it together really well, and then add the water. So to start, we're adding 3 whole cups of flour. This is the flour that we like, the Miller's Pride. It's bleach-free, preservative-free, non-GMO. Then you're gonna take half a teaspoon of your yeast, and I, again, very loosey-goosey. I don't measure super exact. I just kind of take what I would consider a heaping half a teaspoon and just pop it in there. A teaspoon of salt, and I like to use kosher salt. And that's it. I'm just going to take a whisk and combine it just to make sure it's all pretty evenly and well mixed. And then all that's left is adding 1.5 cups of warm water. That's 1 cup. And then it's as easy as mixing it up. So this is what the dough will look like. It's like kind of shaggy looking. It's super, super sticky, and it's very, very loose. And that is totally normal. It's okay if your dough looks like this. You are on the right track. So now all you do is cover it and let it sit for 12 to 18 hours. Or if you're like me and you forget about it, you can let it sit for like a day and a half or 2 days. And then when you do remember it, you can pop it in the oven. So you can use like beeswax wrap or plastic wrap. I have these BPA-free shower caps, which work super, super well. So I just pop on my shower cap and then I'll cover it with just a random little tea towel and kind of tuck it under. And I'm just gonna put it here in the corner of the kitchen, and it's gonna sit there until sometime tomorrow, and it is 10 a.m. currently. Okay, so this is my bread that has been sitting here overnight. It's actually been sitting there since 10 a.m. yesterday, so from 10 a.m. to now, and it is exactly 9:47 in the morning. So you only need to let it sit covered for, I think, a minimum of 12 hours, like 12 to 18. Sometimes I make it, like I prep it in the morning and then I totally forget to make it at night, and then it sits there all night and then I make it the next morning. It really is so forgiving. Like, I haven't messed up a loaf yet, and I'm very loosey-goosey about things. Okay, so the one thing you will need for this, if you don't have one, I highly suggest baking it in a Dutch oven or like a ceramic baking dish, something that you can like cover and is like kind of this shape. The first thing I'm gonna do before I touch the dough back there is I'm going to preheat the oven to 450, and I'm gonna let this sit in the oven with the lid on while the oven preheats to 450. Fahrenheit. All right, so this is what our dough is looking like. I'm gonna take off my handy little shower cap here. And this is what it looks like. It's like very loose, very, very wet, and it's dotted with all these bubbles. And that's pretty much what we're hoping for. Sometimes my dough looks a lot wetter than this. Sometimes it's a little more dry. The bread still comes out amazing. So don't worry if it doesn't look exactly like this. If it's wetter and looser, it's gonna be fine. If it's a little more dry, it's still gonna be fine. So next up, you wanna flour your work surface. A little hack that has worked really, really well for me is I put my parchment paper down right away and I just do everything on top of the parchment paper. So I add my flour to the parchment paper and then dump my dough on. It's just like, it really cuts down on the mess. You don't have to clean up the countertop afterwards for the most part. And you're gonna bake the bread in the parchment paper anyways, inside the Dutch oven. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of flour and just dust the surface really lightly. And then I have to be careful because I cut my finger, so I don't want to get this hand too dirty. I'm just going to take off my rings. And normally I would use both hands. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of flour. And I like to dust in here just because it makes it a little bit easier. And then I'm literally just going to kind of peel it away from the sides of the bowl like this. It actually comes off pretty easy. And I'm just gonna dump it right onto the parchment paper. Like that. And then I'm just gonna grab a little bit more flour. And again, you don't need to knead it. So I literally just fold it onto itself once, twice, like so. And you don't really need to form it or anything like that. And just leave it here for about 30 minutes. That's about as long as it takes for my oven to heat up. And then we're gonna pop it in the Dutch oven. Okay, so the dough looks like this. And it's been just sitting here on the counter like this for a little over 30 minutes, I think. Maybe 30 minutes exactly. You wanna aim for about 30 minutes, give or take. Again, you can be super loosey-goosey because this is probably gonna work out regardless. I'm gonna take my very, very hot Dutch oven out of the oven. I just gather all 4 corners, pick it up, pop it in, and you're done. I used way too much parchment paper. So I am really quickly going to just trim some of that off. So now I'm just putting the lid back on. And we're going to pop it into the oven for 30 minutes, covered like this, at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so it's about 10 to 11, so the bread has been in there for 30 minutes. I just took off the lid and now I'm going to let it continue cooking at 450 degrees Fahrenheit for another 10 minutes with the lid off, just to let it get all golden and beautiful looking, and then we'll be done. Okay, and this is our finished bread. She is beautiful, she is stunning, she is perfect. I'm gonna let it cool for about 20 minutes and then I'm gonna cut into it. I'm so excited. But yes, here's my hand for like size reference. It's not huge, but it does us, my husband and I, so 2 adults, this does us for about 2 to 3 days. And then I always have one ready to go in the oven.